It was the night of Krishna's birth. A little before midnight, there was a tremendous peace that filled the air. The waters became very still and clear, and beautiful flowers blossomed from them and all around the land. Deep within the earth, jewels blossomed suddenly, and holy sages secretly burned fires in the evening to make way for the coming of the preserver, the newborn preserver of the Dharma. The perfumes of the flowers that bloomed in ecstasy across the land of Mathura were so strong that they went all the way into the cold, dank dungeon below the castle of the evil king Kamsa, and down into filling the aroma of the dungeon were Devaki, the soon-to-be mother of Krishna, with her womb just blazing light, ready for him to be born. She was chained against a column with piercing, cutting chains, as was on a separate column her husband, Vasudeva, who was also completely chained but feeling the bliss as the newborn child came and was born in the dungeon. And a light, a heavenly blue light, filled the whole space, emanating from the infant child himself. And they both gazed in wonderment at this celestial light being in this infant. Suddenly he rose and became none other than Vishnu, the god of the preserver himself, with his mace and conch and shimmering blue complexion, lustrous eyes, and golden garments that swirled like clouds. And he said, "Take me as the little baby," as they both humbly bowed in awe of the unmanifest coming in to a form that they could see. And he said, "Take me as the little baby." And I then over across Yamuna, and there you will replace Krishna as me with the little baby girl, my Yoga Maya, who is just born, who will be Krishna's foster mother, Yashoda. So then he became the little infant again in Devaki's arms. Supernaturally, Vasudeva's chains came undone as if they were not ever locked. And he walked over to his wife, and she reluctantly gave him the baby. And he held the glowing infant in his hands. He walked towards the dungeon bolted doors, which magically part opened of themselves. Therein all the guards in the hallways and chambers, as was the evil king, were asleep in a sort of trance of spiritual ignorance of what was happening. Then Vasudeva stepped out onto the land, and at the Yamuna, the river was tumultuous, and the sky suddenly became thunderous with lightning and cloud and pouring rain. Yet when Vasudeva stepped across the river, it parted for him, and he crossed over the river holding the baby. There in the door of Yashoda, the new foster mother opened too of its own accord. She and her husband Nanda were fast asleep, but with her was her baby newborn infant girl. Silently, Vasudeva replaced the baby Krishna, gave that to her, unknowing to her, and took the baby girl. Then he crossed back with the help of Ananta, the many-headed cobra, as it was creating like an umbrella for Vasudeva across the river. He went back into the dungeon. The next morning, the little girl cried, the baby infant, and Kamsa came out with his sword and the guards, and he held the baby girl to slay her. Suddenly she flew up into the sky and became none other than the Mahadevi the warrior goddess Durga, and coolly, serenely, she looked at Kamsa, the evil king. Foolish Kamsa, you cannot slay Divine Mother, and your slayer, the one who is your undoing, is already safely born and in hiding across the waters. Thus, in terror, Kamsa, purveyor of evil, shivered in terror and bowed down and cried. For Vishnu had risen again, once again, as he always would and will, to restore the Dharma. Joy to you.